Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 517th episode of the GeekVerse podcast. I'm the Clown Prince of Red, Travis Snail, and I'm joined by...
I'm the organic mechanic, Kirkland Patzer.
I'm the abundant Dylan Muss.
Yes, we are here. You probably not guessed by those names, but hopefully you clicked on this episode because you saw Furiosa. Spoiler. I guess I'll edit after. I should say Furiosa, Mad Max story for that, SEO. Glorious SEO. Got to get that going on. But doing that, or it's a saga, right? Mad Max Saga? Is that what it is?
Mad Max
Yes.
Saga. Yeah, you're right.
Saga.
It's all so stupid. I get why they do it, but come on now. Mad Max story, saga, chapter.
People are going to see it. If they don't have that title, people are going to see it and be like, this is like Mad Max. This is kind of like that Mad Max movie.
What is the
Yeah.
definition of a saga?
It's a good question. Just a collection of
So I
projects
I
or
imagine
stories?
probably most franchises are saga, but to me a saga is like Lord of the Rings, where it's spanning multiple decades.
I almost think it's like a
Technical.
Chronicles, right?
What's Chronicles
Chronicles.
then? Of
Just
Narnia?
a long involved story. Okay, so I thought it was like an actual number, but maybe not.
It just says long involved story.
Long story about
Just a
past.
long story.
And that would make sense, I guess. This movie, the first one came out in like the 80s, right? Or
Yeah.
it was the 80s, so that makes sense. It's just not the
Long
way I
enough.
think of it, and I guess maybe you can call it that now, is because it's like the first time. You know what? It counts. I don't think they need in the title, but it's the first time it's a character that's not Max as the main character as well. So that's kind of a thing too, where it's like it's spreading out past our main character. So
Yes.
I guess so. So
And then a chronicle is a record of things that happened. Since we're on the topic, I had to drop that out.
okay,
there.
so that could be
So
one
the Chronicles of Narnia, that doesn't make sense at all because that's not real, right?
movie. No, what did you say was the definition again?
A factual written account of important or historical events in the
Is
order.
that
What
the
is for
framing of
Narnia?
Narnia? Is it like someone telling a story? I can't remember. It's
I
been a
can't
long
remember
time.
either.
I think they're all
I feel like
kinda
it could be someone
stories.
like opens a book and tells.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know.
I think you're onto
It
something.
sounds right.
And like you said, factual, but it's like that's factual in the movie world, right? Like Lord of the Rings isn't the
Perhaps.
Lord of the Like they're not the Lord of any
The
rings in our
Chronicles
world.
of the Lord.
Chronicle of the Rings, yeah, Chronicle of the Lord of the Rings of the
Chronicle of
Planet
the
Apes.
Rings. That has a ring to it, I gotta say.
Maybe that's what they're gonna call the Gollum one. Hunt for a Gollum, Chronicle of the Rings. So
Chronicles of Andy Serkis and team.
yeah, but I got no transition at all. Go on the feed. There's lots of good stuff. It's very Dylan Trash centric this week. Me and Dylan were on
Yes.
news. We were on side quest. We got that going on. There's a big thing that dropped this week, Dylan. It is in for people that want to know what Dylan's talking about. The link is in the description below.
The thing that I hadn't talked about yet, but is my game is out now. It's out this week. Potion Problem. Check it out. It's on Steam.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy it for a measly $7.99 US. That's not much, right? That's less than like
it's a cup
dinner.
of coffee now.
That's a cup.
Less
It's like a
than.
grande
It is
coffee
some
or a
places,
venti.
Less
Yeah.
than coffees. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Better,
go check
more
it out.
healthier than coffee as well too. Better for the mind.
Yes, I hope
Absolutely.
so. It's an educational game, so
Yeah.
Teaches
Yeah.
you how to make coffee.
Exactly. Different types. It chronicles how you can make potions.
yes.
Maybe that's a sequel. Potion
Someday to be a
Chronicle.
saga.
Yeah.
40 years from now.
I guarantee you the next 5 years there's going to be a game or movie from GeekVerse that's going to have the word Chronicle in it and Saga in it.
Oh,
Who
yeah.
knows? Yeah.
The
We'll wait till
Chronicle
we
of the Saga.
We'll wait till we get it to Adrenochrome 4, but when it's not about Hunter, it's like the Hunter Saga, and it's like about something else.
The
but,
Adreno Saga.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, lots of
like
good stuff on the feeds right now. On Patreon, the Alien Retro started, which check out that. And yeah, there'll be some other retros throughout the years. And then another thing to promote, it's a long time away, but in case you're a new listener, GeekVerse.ca is happening. Long weekend of August, we will be doing a stream that's going to be about 8 hours. But if you up your tier or join Patreon, you will extend the tier, and we're going to have a bunch of stretch goals. There's going to be a bunch of fun events, so go check that out. But that's a long time away, so just shout that out now. And yeah, just rate, review, subscribe if you want the ad-free early episodes, exclusive episodes. Patreon's the best way to do it and support us because we are independent content creators. So the feeds and the Patreon, that's how we do it. So we thank each and every one of you. But let's get to it because the night is not young here in old northern Canada, right? We're northern. No, we're not northern. Where are we? Are we
Southern
actually-
Canada.
we're actually-
Southern
yeah, but we're not for the joke, so we don't want to be southern.
or west.
We're west. Yeah, we're Western Canadians. So, and we don't look. You don't understand the bit. Just keep adulting over
Giving you
there,
those
making
eyes.
lunches and feed the kids. Kirkland Patzer. I guess last thing to show as I transition into Kirkland, we have reviewed every single Mad Max movie. Now we're about to do the last of the saga. Next week we'll do like we did for Apes. We'll do a ranking where we'll rank the films, 10 characters, best scenes. So you can check on the feeds. All 4 of those are there. They're lots of fun and just tons of fun talking about the filmmaking of these because there are some crazy stories, especially those early ones of people just inches away from dying, but they managed to, withheld. So Kirkland Patzer.
The original War Boys.
The original War Boys, yeah. So what
Yeah.
did you feel about, in a non-spoiler way, for Furiosa, the 5th edition of the Mad Max saga?
I like the way you phrased that. Yeah, no, this was my first ever like theater experience of a Mad Max movie ever. Fury Road probably would have been the one that I would have been able to jump on at the time, but I missed out on that. So this was my first time seeing just this high octane world with high octane energy on the big screen, and I had a really fun time with it. I think it was more than what I was expecting. I feel like I liked the character enough of Furiosa in Fury Road. I almost said Road Warrior. I got all the Mad Maxes in my mind right now. Thunderdome of the Fury Road. But no, yeah, I feel like I wasn't super attached to that character. Like I thought she was really interesting, especially the way that Charlize portrayed her. But to dive into her whole kind of prequel story, I wasn't like super hyped for, other than it just having the high octane action. But man, I really like this character now after seeing just the evolution, the origin of it, and I just had a really fun time following her journey here. I really liked our main villain as well, Chris Hemsworth. I was looking forward to him from the trailers, and I feel like I was just grinning every single time he was on screen. And then it got like later on when I was maybe just a little bit more fearful of the character, more so than just the wacky look that you eventually get through. But no, yeah, I had a fun time with this one. I think it's a really good just story in this kind of more modern Mad Max world. It's all like the same post-apocalyptic world, I guess, but just the specific universe that like started with Fury Road. I feel like this is just another great story in that universe. So yeah, I thought it was really good, and I'm excited to unpack with you guys.
Dylan, there's lots to unpack with you because the viewers, including some of ourselves, have not known your thoughts on the Mad Maxes. I'm not saying that you'd watch them, but it's a barren wasteland over there as far as your thoughts on the Mad Max saga. So,
It's true.
so what did you? What's your experience? Yeah, go ahead.
I've seen Fury Road. I think I watched it with you, Travis. Is that correct?
I told you to watch it. I think you may have watched my copy, but I don't think you watched it with me.
That was what it is.
Felt like you
Yes.
were there through the copy.
I have a
You
very
looked over, Forrest Ghost Travis.
I have a foggy memory that's clearly so foggy it's not even true. That like
Yeah.
not your last place, but 2 houses ago that you lived in, watching it there with you.
Bad Key, good old Bad
Maybe I
Key.
just grabbed the DVD from you. I don't know. That's probably what happened.
There's also a chance you could have just come over and I was watching it there as well, because this like Fury Road used to be a good like if you're coming to a podcast and you came over and it's just on the TV and I'm just watching, like that could have happened as well too. So
It's possible. I know I have seen the whole movie, but I have very little memory of it, and I've not seen any of the originals. And there you go. That's my history of Mad Max. It's very short and sweet.
Short and sweet.
Going into this, I guess I had very little expectations, but at the same time, I feel like the trailers do really set up what the story is for the most part. I had a good time with this. I think I'm a little bit mixed on it. And the things that I'm not mixed on are the visuals are, of course, fantastic, and the world of Mad Max is really great. One thing I was judging a lot in the trailers was just like the color correction looked really wacky, but I think in the theater it looked really good. And they also kind of differentiate it from like the past versus like the present of this movie. There's like a slight different look to it, but I think both of them look good. I love the look of all just the crazy trucks and vehicles and tech and all the weird characters and their hilarious names are so fun. It's a world that I'm so unfamiliar with that like a lot of that was really new to me, and I really enjoyed that. Um, and so in terms of it being like a popcorn flick, a good time at the theater, it was that. I think the mixed parts of it, I'm not really like negative on anything, but I think for me where this movie didn't quite climb to that next tier is that to me it was kind of lacking the emotional side of things. It lacked like the emotional core, never really tugged on my heartstrings in any way. And then for a movie like this, like it doesn't need to, but in this one it is trying in a few ways, and I feel like there's certain characters, storylines that just didn't really work for me in that way. And then the other thing is, I don't think I was ever surprised once in this movie. I feel like based on the trailers, I could have guessed what the general plot was, and it's pretty much just that. And I don't feel like we ever like took some turn around a corner, and there was something crazy and wow and unexpected there. It was all kind of by the books, by the numbers. So yeah, I had a good time with it, but I guess it just didn't blow me away. It didn't have the wow factor onto it, and I don't think I'll ever. I would be surprised if I ever watch this movie again in my life. Like I don't think I ever need to go back to it for any particular reason. Maybe I YouTube one particular cool scene, but otherwise, I don't think it's going to have much of an impact on me in the long term, which I unfortunately I think is the case for Fury Road because I have so little memory of it. I think it kind of went in one year out the other, which is too bad because I feel like in theory I like a lot of the stuff going on with this world, but so far 2 movies in, it's maybe not my cup of tea per se.
Yeah, and don't go back to the other ones. I don't think those would be any more of the cup of tea. Then there's some. It's very 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 indie at sometimes, and some.
Yeah, sounds.
Yeah, you're not getting a Chris Hemsworth performance in those early ones. So, yeah, no, I'm excited that you guys have a bit more mixed feelings on it, or as high as me, because I don't. I always hate these reviews, but I really don't really have anything negative to say. I got like 1 point, and the rest is all like aces. Like I got nothing. Like everything from, I know that was a big debate of some of the CGI doesn't work in the trailers. Like for me, once it's on the screen in the movies, it all has this really type of different otherworldly look sometimes. This in particular in Fury Road, because like Kirk was talking about, the first three, they're in a different like class of their own. The Fury Road is like a new coat of paint per se, a coat of chroma on it. It's a completely, and that's what I love, and that's why a few things that surprised me is the entire first act, which I'll wait until we get into spoilers. And the most thing that surprised me was the trailers to me were really making it look like it was super high octane and fast paced and everything like Fury Road, and it's not that. So spoiler, like minor spoilers on like the tone of the movie, but just to prep you, also I'm not gonna drop any story spoilers. It feels to me very similar. It's funny, that's why I shouted the Alien Retro out, not only because we're doing it in honor of Romulus, but I'm excited because we haven't done Alien 2 yet, but there's like a big divide between like Alien and Aliens, because Alien is like, we talked about the horror isolated movie, and then Aliens is that's kick ass, and we're fighting the the xenomorphs and stuff. This to me feels like, okay, both directors capture the Mad Max world but have a very different way of going about it, but it's the same guy to me. Like Fury Road is it's one chase scene for 2 hours, and this is not that. And even the chase scenes, I think there's a few scenes that get to that Fury Road, but even there's a few, or majority of the vehicle action scenes are not like the ones in Fury Road. To me, they're closer to the ones in the original 3. I'm not sure, Kirkland, if you agree with that. That to me, they're slower paced, and there's not as much, like, there is tons of quick edits, but not the exact same. And I think they're a bit more, don't want to say character driven, but I just feel like they're built up a lot more. Where with Fury Road, the whole thing is a chase, so that's where you can't really do that. That's a whole different aesthetic. But so yeah, it kind of reminded me of the older Mad Maxes, but way updated, and I like that way more, because those movies I appreciate, but I don't really. I enjoy them to like a good amount, as you can go check out the retros. But Fury Road I love, and yeah, this one I love. Hemsworth was fantastic. I don't know what we're gonna do for me when we get to villains at Golden Geeks, because we got like him, we got
Scooby Doo.
Yeah. What do we do? We got Austin Butler from Dune. We got God, what's his name? Caesar Prime from whatever the hell. Apes.
Kingdom.
Yeah, Kingdom. And I feel like there's another one in there. Like I feel like, and we got a couple.
Sorry,
like,
I thought you were talking about your ranking of Mad Max ones next week. I'm like, oh, Austin Butler was in Fury Road. I didn't know about.
No. I just mean like, Usually,
yeah.
yeah. I feel like with movies and actresses, that happens. But sometimes I feel like with villains, like okay, we got one, maybe two. But villain is usually a runaway. I think last year was a case where it wasn't a runaway because it was all like a bunch of kind of B tier. Like it's like Godzilla versus so and so, right? But Hemsworth he's delivering this weird like Captain Jack, Captain Hook mixed with like a little bit of Heath Joker because there's multiple things that are actually just like the exact same as the Joker from Dark Knight. I don't think George Miller intended that, but yeah, and Anya Taylor-Joy is really good. I think it's tough the role she has to do because she is in the role that Tom Hardy is in Fury Road, where she doesn't get many lines, and she is the main focus. But I think just like in Mad Max, how Furiosa stole the movie away from him, I think Hemsworth kind of steals the movie away from her. And that's what I love for the first almost half this movie, much like American Psycho to me, for it shows you can make movies about terrible people and it be compelling, because the first act of this movie is all about the villains and the antagonists, and that's what I loved, and that's why I was very surprised. And my hyperbolic take will be I have to look at them all, but this might be my favorite prequel per se, because we just did the apes, and like those apes movies are definitely prequels, but at the same time we've argued they could be a new timeline. There's very few prequels to me that are any worth any amount of time. And for me, the stuff that they delved into wasn't stuff like, oh, you're ruining the original or you're getting too close. Like, I was interested in all this stuff, the politics, how everything was built up, the certain connections each character, seeing some characters younger. I thought they did a fantastic job. And yeah, George Miller, man, like it's just like I'm really hoping the next one is the Mad Max Wasteland movie, because I want to get a trilogy of these Mad Max movies so I can kind of dovetail it. But I cannot wait to get this on home release, and I cannot just wait to do this and Fury Road back to back. I absolutely loved this movie. I loved the revenge thriller. I actually enjoyed all the character stuff, and I thought they gave me good enough reason to care for all the things they put Furiosa for. And now I see why they didn't have Charlize come back. I still missed her, but I thought Anya did a great job, so I could see why, because they're covering some very, very young years here, and it probably would have seemed a little weird. And I think George Miller even talked about, oh, we thought about de-aging, but I didn't want to do that because it kind of takes away. And I think I agree for the most part when it's a lead. I think supporting characters and whatnot you can do, but if you were to de-age the whole time, probably could get a little distracting and a little expensive too. But no, I love this. This is up there. I'll have to watch this in Dune. I think Dune's still my top for the year, but it's a 1A, 1B situation. George Miller, man, just a mastermind.
It's a sandy top two.
It is. Yeah, there was just one shot in particular that looked like it. And I was like, man, if Warner Brothers wanted to, they could connect to. I don't want them to do it at all. But there's just a shot where it's like, man, like they just love sand this year, So
That's Paul's next enemy, Furiosa.
oh my God, yeah,
And
that'd
Morton.
be great. Morton Joe would
Yeah,
fit right
Morton
into the
Joe.
Dune universe
Oh,
or
yeah.
something. Like, just I'd love to see one of him and the one of the Bezza he'd be like, well, we got to have like one of his babies, that'll help. Maybe that's in Dune Prophecy. Maybe that'll be the big hook, But anything else? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to quickly shout out because I forgot to mention it. Just the sound design. Like I feel like the visuals were super standouty, but the specific sound design for me was something that just totally stood out in the whole movie. Because in a lot of the action scenes, there's not like a really standout, like I feel like score that's like boosting it. It's just like a lot more in the background. But for the specific moments that I felt like the sound design just shined through was like the subtleties, whether it was like, I don't know, like a character falls and you hear like very specifically like a random metallic like hook or something on his bike like hit the ground. It just felt like it pierced through my ears a lot more than like I normally would have maybe noticed those moments. And I feel like the subtlety of the actual like music behind the action just lifted up all those other parts. So yeah, like I found the sound design really good in Fury Road, but this one in particular just I feel like because it wasn't as high octane in your face, I was like looking for it more, and then like maybe it's like a Daredevil effect because my senses are heightened because of that. But no, I thought it was amazing, and we already shouted out visuals, but yeah, it was. I thought it looked really good.
Plus, you're in the Dolby this time with the theater as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So. Yeah, we will get Taylor's thoughts because he's on trip. We'll get his thoughts on the ranking, so we'll see.
IMAX thoughts too. That's
IMAX thoughts. Yeah. So, anything else non-spoilers before we crack this open? Crack this canteen open. All right, we'll be right back. Talking spoilers for Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. And we're back. Where do we want to start?
I would love to ask you guys a question, and this may be helpful for anyone who didn't join you guys on the retro. But where does the first three movies lie in like the timeline in relation to this and Fury Road? Because I got the vibe that there was a lot of characters in this that were in those original movies to some extent.
Oh, so in Fury Road. Okay. Yeah, all the Citadel people, they're in Fury Road, and then everybody else is not. Like Furiosa, of course, too. But I think you would have got that one.
Dylan, you're asking too, like the originals, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, the whole
no,
thing.
none of those characters, I don't think, are in this.
No.
Okay.
At all. And even Fury Road, like I think on the retros, Taylor was making the argument of like trying to connect like those original ones of like where they could potentially fit into the timeline, but Mad Max is like the only reoccurring character, I would think, and that's why it just feels like an anthology type story. And I even felt like that going through the Mel Gibson ones, other than like the direct sequel. It just felt like a story about this guy, and they're just like stories, not necessarily in the chronological order of things. Just this is the playground, this is the badass in leather and a gun and a cool car, and like these are the stories. And that's kind of how I took those. And that's why I was saying like Fury Road, it just seems, as Travis put it, like a fresh coat of paint on the entire saga. Chronicles, whatever they are.
In the originals, they have actors. There's an actor in 2 and 3. That's same actor, but different characters, like different names.
Nice.
But then people theorize, oh, could it be the same person? The person that played Toe Cutter, the very first villain in the first Mad Max, he plays more in Joe and Fury Road. So they just like, oh yeah, we like using these actors, and we'll go again. But I think in theory, so it's a weird thing because I've thought about this a few times because we just did this. And technically, Furiosa is a kid when the wasteland's already barren, right? Like obviously you got the green land, but it's already gone. Even though Charlize Theron is older than what's his name, Tom Hardy, technically in Fury Road you're supposed to watch as Tom Hardy is older than her, because Mad Max is a young adult. How old would you say he's in? Early 20s when it goes to shit, Kirkland? Like when he loses his family and everything? Yeah. And she's a kid, aka maybe not even born yet. So there's supposed to be 20 years, 15 to 20 years between them, and that's clearly not the case. So you got to change that, because even here we did get to, again, we're in spoilers. We did get to see a adult Mad Max while there was a very younger
there,
yeah, which I was very happy we didn't go any further, because I was like, oh god,
anyone like cast truly.
Well, no, that I would have been fine even if it was Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm just happy they didn't interact. That was my worry of him seeing her down there, because they don't interact till Fury Road. I was like,
they call him Strider.
Yeah, we're gonna get that thing of like, oh, Legolas, have you heard of this man before? Like, you might meet him one day. It's like, oh, okay. I didn't want him to be the one that like picked her up and just dropped her off, which, because it does fit. Like that's what he does. He just goes around begrudgingly helping people. But that, I thought that was like a fun cameo. I like that. That's a good amount.
Because when I was watching this, I was thinking like, man, those original movies, if it's like a younger version of Max, like they must be somewhere close in like the actual year count to where this movie takes place. But I guess they don't really worry about it too much. Like, are the places similar at all? Like the names of these towns or cities or anything?
Gastown is. Well, wait, no, was Gastown ever the original?
Because the original movies must also take, like, it must all be in Australia, right? Like, that's the setting of everything.
I thought they had a Gastown, actually, in the second one.
Road Warrior, right? That's where they go, but it's not this size, right? So either Gastown has grown because, like, years happen, because I think, unfortunately for Max, he's been in the apocalypse for about 30 years, so he's been there for quite a while. So Gastown could have grown, or it's another gas town that is just, oh well, we own it and stuff. And I was gonna say they definitely are in Australia because you got Australians, but at the same point, by the time you get to the third, he could be anywhere in the world because it's just everything's gone to crap, and you got Tina Turner there who's hanging out.
But is there ever like boat travel or anything?
No, it's always.
I feel like that Australia is just so far away from everything that I don't really see how they would get elsewhere.
That's how much sand there was, Dylan. It filled up the water, the lakes, and there's just
the whole world dried out. Okay.
Yeah, like in winter how it freezes.
Even though the shot in this movie is of Australia, surrounded by water still.
Yeah, it's gonna fill up in Fury Road. It's gonna
In
fill
the next
up.
few years.
Yeah, but I would assume they're all barren Australia, and yeah, they kind of get worse and worse because the first Mad Max starts as like it's kind of in the middle of COVID, if you think about it that way, where it's an operating world, but it's very like barren and people aren't outside, and then it just gets worse and worse to what we have now, which is just mountains and sand. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Kirkland, did you like the Mad Max cameo?
Yeah, I did. I agree with you. I like the the distance of it all. I thought that would have really brought down the whole experience. If it's like, hey kid, hop in, and he's the one that like saves her.
Yeah.
Then it's just like thinking about their interactions in Fury Road, like it just wouldn't have made sense. So I am happy with it. I feel like Mad Max just loves those types of perches. Like Fury Road had the shot of him up on a hill like that.
Oh
Like
yeah,
the
it's
second Mad Max Road Warrior had like a similar type peak that he was on, and he's always just kind of sitting by his car, maybe having a snack, maybe doing whatever. So yeah, I thought it was fun, and yeah.
Good. And then we were laughing our ass off on the next scene because they set up these people, which I don't think we saw. Like, this is a side note before I forget about it. I don't think we saw many of them in Fury Road, if at all. These like weird. I'm not gonna call them witches, but something, whatever's underneath the citadel with those maggots and they're growing stuff.
Oh
and
yeah,
just
the
like,
cannibal people.
yeah,
That
you stay
was
here.
nasty.
Yeah, you'll be safe here.
Go back
You'll-
to sleep.
yeah, this is peaceful here. And the maggots, that was disgusting. But shout out those actresses, they sold that, and I was laughing my ass.
I
off, 'cause,
was
like, oh, jeez Louise.
It's funny because it's Anya as well, but I was getting like witch vibes, just like
Yes.
that level of grotesque, and yeah, just the zoom in of the maggots and like the one that was scooping like the fucking toe jam off that one just severed leg. Like,
Oh,
Yeah, it's like when you
no,
go to
that was
Subsidy
gross.
Donaire and they're like scraping the meat off the thing. Oh.
I can never look at that again. Oh, thanks for that visual.
I guess like if we jump back to the first act, I suppose if there was anything that was surprising to me in this movie, it was just how long that sequence was, and how it took 45 minutes to actually see Anya on screen. That was very unexpected for me from the trailers, but also just like from a story perspective that they would spend that much time with her being that young, I guess.
Yeah.
yeah.
I was also very surprised. I felt, I thought we were going to get it for like maybe less than 10 minutes and then straight to Anya. But I quite liked actually those sequences as well. Like I thought that there is certain moments that it feels like we are maybe just fast traveling to locations for the sake of just pushing along the story. But I thought like the pacing of all of that introductory stuff, as we were like starting on like just going like with this young version of Furiosa, I was like, oh, this might feel like a drag, but no, I really liked just the sequence of all of that and just showing like the pursuit of her mother, like chasing her through and just being like Hitman 47 in the desert, just sniping these I was gonna say poor bikers, these bikers that deserved what they
Criminals,
got. So,
monsters.
Yeah, exactly.
These
Yeah.
poor. We know whose side Kirkland's on is in the 40-day oil war or whatever they called it.
God,
But
call me Toe Jam.
yeah, no, shout out that actress. I guarantee you, whatever her name is, Mail Find on the Mills review, you're gonna see her in like a bunch of stuff now. I guarantee you, we're going, oh, that's the girl from Furiosa, that's the girl from Furiosa. Because not only is she good in it, she's in it a lot. And now I would argue that chapter, which is funny enough, I would argue Chris Hemsworth is like the main character of the first act, but still, she still has to hold her own a few times and not stick out like, oh, okay. Like, I never at any point knew Anya was coming, but I was never going, oh, this is dragging because it's the kid, you know, and that's what you don't want. You don't want some really bad kid actress. And that's what I did end up liking. I was surprised to see it took me for kind of a whirl, and I think I enjoyed that. I don't think I needed it to hate Chris Hemsworth more, because I think they do multiple things to make me go, okay, I want this character to get killed. He's a bad person, X, Y, and Z. Like, they could have had Anya grow up at the point when they put her mom on the cross, right? And like, hey, justified already. Burn a mom in front of her daughter. I got that. But I think it was just his workings. I think it was also to see him kind of grow some affection for her. At the end of the day, when he got the chance for power, he still gave her up, but he kept wanting more and more to give her up. I did like at the end of the movie, because sometimes they leave that as a mystery, and I'm fine with it if they do. That's why I thought they were going a Joker, Heath Ledger route, but unless he's lying. But he said at the beginning of the movie he did have a family, and then he doubled down on it to me in his last moment. So I don't think he's lying about it. I don't think when he came back. So he has this bear. So I kind of like that there's something that symbolizes something he used to have, but that shows why this character is a piece of shit. Because at the end of the day, one, obviously the things he did, but he still chose to sell her. And, you know, okay, I'll take water or food for X, Y, and Z, even though he's like, oh, this is my daughter. And yet, da, 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 da. But that's what I liked, is it didn't to me establish that I needed him to be the villain. I just like seeing the inner workings of Demetrius's mind and just how he had these lofty goals, because even we'll get to, but at the end when he's like, oh, you're little D, like this is perfect. Like he wants to go out like a Caesar or like a, you know, a King Theoden. Like he wants this big noble death. He wants to die in battle. He wants to be like ridden about and stuff, which some of his actions, witness me, but some of his actions don't like fit that. He wants the legacy of like a true king, but he doesn't act that way. He acts that way as far as power, but he's constantly sacrificing his men. He's just trying to make power plays. He could have we don't know what everything is, but that's what I like throughout the movie. They keep saying like, hey, this guy, he's just running gas down into the ground. Like I like that it shows that his kind of aching for power is probably what screwed him in the end. If he would have probably just sat down and worked with them and did gas down. So that's what I think the first act did to me was, okay, he established he's a bad guy, but he also established to me what his downfall was. And Hemsworth, yeah, I already said it, but he was fantastic in this role. So
Yeah, no, it's a good observation of the character, because I liked seeing kind of the downfall of it, but I feel like I didn't really just compare where he was in the early stages, where especially that cloak that he has like throughout the movie that just gets dirtier and dirtier. Like at the end, obviously he's like getting super gray and he just looks more stressed. He's got wrinkles, whereas the first time we see him, it's like he's an angelic character where he has this like just pure white cloak that's like just floating in the wind.
No one's ever looked that good in the Mad Max universe. I don't mean like Hemsworth, I mean like clean skin and like put together. Like in all 5 movies, like this being the 5th, they're always dirty and raw and teeth and stinky and stuff. So that's where it's like, even if it's like a makeshift one, he is like the model of this world and stuff. And he's soft spoken and he's semi caring, right? He's like, give her our bath water and yet
yeah, and he's talking like this savior of the wasteland, especially when they go to the Citadel the first time, and he's just making all these promises, right?
Rise up.
Yeah, like he's just so pumped, and then by like later on when we see him in like dire straits, like he's putting his interpreter guy like
we had a good run
in the chariot. Yeah, like just all these actions. So yeah, I like that observation you made.
Yeah, I mean, it's so fun having Hemsworth in a role like this, since we're just so used to him playing Thor, of course. But yeah, it echoed to me bad times at the El Royale, and not in the like in that movie he has like a certain swagger to him, whereas this he's more of just like a total piece of shit type of character. Of course, they're both villainous characters, so there's some overlap there. But I think he can just really tap into a role like this in a big way. And yeah, you're right. Like he really truly was the kind of protagonist of like the first half of this movie, and it's not like he disappears for the end of it either. Like he's still always there and always has a presence, and he's always great. I do think a couple weaker points for me, like one is that storyline of like he had this family and they were lost, because I feel like it truly is just like 2 throwaway lines, and I'm like, okay, if we have no connection to these characters, like is that enough for us to have sympathy for him? Is that the purpose? Because I at no point felt any sort of sympathy for him, because he's so bad, and like, okay, he had a family, but we don't know they died, I guess, but we don't have any more information. We don't even really know if it's real. Like he could be lying about it too. So I think that part didn't really work for me so much. And then this is kind of jumping to the end of the bit, but I think it was really fun seeing him gradually climb up in power and take more control over the wasteland. It's kind of that like joke of like starting with like a thumbtack and like trading it up and up until you trade it for a house, that kind of thing. Because I feel like he just constantly was doing that with little power plays here or there, like making the the first trade with those people from the Citadel for like, okay, a little food for oil, and then he eventually builds up and takes over Gastown. Then he doesn't need to at all, but he goes and takes over the Bullet Farm, which feels like it has no bearing on like helping him what he's doing. And then he like has to go for the Citadel at that point. It's because he's truly like just destroyed their resources and their ability to go on. But I think to me, then the downfall of it is like most movies would have a big montage sequence, like be the middle of this movie where it's like him climbing to power and taking all this stuff. But this movie has like the downfall as like a montage at the end where it's like this 40-year war, and it's like a 1 minute long scene.
40 day.
Sorry, 40 day.
Yeah. Furiosa got real old, yeah.
But it's played through in like 40 seconds, and then we go to like Furiosa, which I think to me that was too bad because like I guess we already saw a bit of his downfall because he was so bad at dealing with the resource side of things. But I don't know. I guess that was maybe a bit too brief when I feel like there was easily other points in the movie where you could have cut stuff, or like, you know, I like the opening first act sequence with, you know, the pre-Anya stuff, but like you could have shortened that somewhat and maybe dealt a little bit more into that. I think for the pacing of it, like we already had big action set pieces near the end, so we didn't necessarily need that for the 40-day war. But I still think that is a bit of a detractor for me. And so like a combination of that, and then I think I kind of saw that differently, Travis, the relationship with him and Furiosa. Like I don't feel like he really cared about her at all at any point. Like the way he just gave her away without any hesitation.
Good stuff, though, you know. He did hesitate. He said, "I'm not giving her up. I'm not giving her up." And then he started lying and said, "This is my daughter. Like I raised her."
12 seconds or something.
But I hesitated, and then was like throwing a couple more watermelons, you know.
Okay, well, yeah. To me, it didn't demonstrate to me that he really cared about her at all. And the fact that he couldn't recognize her for a very long time also was to me as if he had just completely forgot about her existence. And then when he finally noticed who she was, I just felt like he was trying to do that to like maybe get an upper hand and survive the situation by like trying to smooth talk her a bit. So I guess I perceived a bit of that differently. But I don't know, how did you guys feel about the 40-day war and that kind of just being like really kind of glazed over quickly to get to the ending like moment between them?
Yeah, I felt like I was caught off guard because I don't know, maybe I just don't fully, I'm not super fluent in Aussie, but I did not hear him say the 40-day war. I thought it was like the 40th war or something, or like the like I heard 40 in there, but I didn't know what the relevance of it because it was just so fast. Obviously, I saw bodies and them like just taking apart all the cars, people stealing boots and whatnot. So I assumed there was some time that had passed, but I think just because it happened so quickly, and like by this point too, we had already kind of been jumping around quite a bit. That at first I was a little bit like uneasy, like like they are jumping really fast here, but I kind of just got into it as we got more and more along with the film. Certain questions that maybe we just like skip through, like how they would make sense, I just was accepting that more and more. I'll go to some of those specifics after, but no, I thought for, like, you make a good point, especially with Dementis's just maybe like forgetfulness of like the whole torture of her mother and basically losing her. I feel like it took a long time to just get to that answer for him to actually realize who she was. So yeah.
See, so I'll talk about the 40-day war in a second. I thought the reason it took that long is because that's how many people he's wronged in his life.
You're probably not wrong, but it's just
it
felt insignificant because of that.
Yeah,
like,
but if she was
40.
so important to him, wouldn't the recall be a bit better on that?
I think that's just like because it's been 15 years. I think that's just how many people, like that's how bad this guy is. How many people has he burned on a cross? How many people has he like torn to pieces? And like my other piece of why. So here's where when I say he cares about her, I don't mean in the sense that he ever truly loved her. I think he cares about her in like a property sense and like owning her. But stuff like when the Citadel attacks him, he does stay back to save her. And that's the thing where it's like we see multiple times maybe him sacrifice people. His life is at risk. Why would he try to save this girl in this moment? And I don't think he loves her, but I think there's some whatever whatever this guy cares about as far as property, he cares enough about her to put his life on the line. When these fucking war boys are jumping from the mountain, sacrificing himself, he's fighting off those witches. He has the chain wrapped around his arm. He's pulling the whole vehicle by himself just to get this girl. Where later on at the end of the movie, he's doing none of that. He's letting everybody die. He'll get anyone die. So that's where I say there's something there, I think, you know?
Yeah, I guess the earlier sequences of it, I more saw it as like he wanted to keep her around because she could lead him to the green place, and so that's where he was being like extra, killing her with kindness sort of thing because he just wanted something out of her. Now you're making some good points of later on when like he's not really too concerned about that anymore, and he's more just trying to make deals happen with the Citadel and further his stuff going on there. But to me, that's like always kind of in the back of his head. Through like that whole earlier phase of the movie.
That's what I want more on, because that's something that didn't work for me, because I got that he wanted that, but it's like clearly this girl's not going to talk. The mom's dead. I wanted to know what his, I guess that was just his end game, maybe, was kill her with kindness, but it's like, was he just going to have this girl grow up to be like 40 years old in this cage if she didn't say anything, right? Like, I wanted a little bit more of what's the game plan if she doesn't say anything, right? But that's where he has her sat with the whole truthsayer guy, which I like that. I liked that character. I like him writing. I liked her, explain like the little back and forth they had, and he ended up making it that guy too somewhere because he kept telling the stories. So for the 40-Day War, I didn't mind it just because they showed the only way that Demetrius and his people could get a one-up on the Citadel was by tricking them. So the second it goes to war, it's over. Like, that's what I really appreciate, and that's where it really fit with Fury Road is I love he gets there. Oh, yeah, you guys are rise up. We can take this over. I can give you their water, give you their food. And they do that one war boy. I'm like, okay, it's going to go to war. But the Citadel destroys them. And obviously they got a home turf advantage, but they just destroy them because I feel... Yeah, sure, there's some warriors on Hemsworth's side, but I feel like they're all kind of renegades, and they're just like not the pick of the litter, right? Where the war boys, they're all ripped, they're torn, they're called war boys. So that's why for me, it's I guess I didn't need the montage there because one, like you said, I don't think we need any more action stuff, but I just took it as, okay, the second you go to war, and even more than Joe kind of said that, like, you crossed me, we go to war, and it's over. So that's why I guess I bought just, okay, it's 40-Day War, but it's really just systematically the Citadel killing his whole clan day by day by day. Obviously they lost a lot of war boys and stuff, and Joe's just sitting up there, so that's why I was fine with the montage there.
Yeah,
They're all in Valhalla.
Yeah, they're all in Valhalla. Yeah, and there was a lot of that. I appreciate them sticking to that. Like, the best one was, we laughed, Kirkland, is when Anya Taylor-Joy got the dynamite, goes to throw it, and the warboy grabs it, witness me, and then dies, flips the vehicle. Like, I love how we got that in Fury Road, but it felt like even more, these guys were so down, like, I want to make sure I die. Like, one guy's like spraying himself with gasoline so he'll set on fire. Like, I love that they kept that mentality, because to me this is the height of it, where no one's questioning him more than Joe. He's the young, like, he's young, like, clearly his skin's like doing a bit better than it is later on, but he's the young war leader, and I loved everything they did there.
I was still wanting a little bit more. I feel like we only got one Immortan Joe like point at the guy and like get him all hyped. It wasn't the full monologue that he gives Nicholas Holt's character.
Fair.
I'll carry you to the gates of Valhalla myself. I got no mediocres in this, so I like you. I absolutely loved all the War Boys inclusion of this, but I think I just loved them so much I wanted a little bit more. But
that's fair.
Yeah, I'm glad. Like, I'm happy I got that one moment where, yeah, Anya's just like very clearly gonna throw the dynamite, just grabs it right out of her hand. Witness, jumps back,
and to this driver who doesn't give a fuck. He's just trying to do his job.
It's like the witness me blood bag. The scene from Fury Road.
Which Kirkley, I could be wrong because it's just a piece of armor, but did you infer that the driver of the war tank was probably a cop in the original world? Because he had that shoulder blade like Max and his friend. Right now, Anya gets one eventually, but I just thought he was Australian. To me, he just had similar vibes of the cops in the first movie, and I was wondering. And he was just the way he wanted to train her, take her on the win. I'm not sure if they were trying to make them friends or romantic. I wasn't digging the more romantic vibes they went with. I was fine with just...
I think that's what they were going for.
Yeah, and I don't think that was there. I think this was, unfortunately, the role that Yaya was supposed to play, and then he had to drop out. I would be very curious to see that dynamic.
That
just
seems
'cause
like really different casting.
yeah, but I just because Yaya was cast and they had dropped his schedule. I don't know who else he would have played because it was already Chris Hemsworth was already cast and Anya was already cast and Yaya was third. And I just feel like when you're looking at characters that had the most meat, I feel like he's. Am I wrong in saying that Driver got the most? Like third, not billing, but like as far as character and being on screen.
Yeah, biggest character for sure.
Yeah, and that's why I
Outside of,
feel
yeah,
like-
like all the lackeys, which they get a lot, maybe more screen time overall, but don't
Yeah.
have as much substance.
Or the
Yeah,
history man.
So I would have loved to see Yaya because I think Yaya has a very good energy. But I liked this guy enough. But yeah, I wasn't digging the more romantic stuff. And if so, I guess they just didn't have the chemistry there. I also just don't know. I don't know if the age was working for me. Maybe they're very similar in age, but he was looking a lot older, and she's still supposed to be, I think, like. So she was maybe. This has been 15 years. Okay, she's probably like in her 20s or something in this movie. Still, just
Yeah, I liked his presence, and I mean that's what a lot of these characters are. Who
yeah.
a lot of them don't really maybe have a lot of dialogue, so it is about that presence. I think he was cool in that way. But yeah, I think the love dynamic, that was another thing where, tugging on the heartstrings, that scene was not like, it's pretty sad, of course, when he's getting just dragged around in the sand
Terrible
for
death.
hours and hours. But I wasn't personally sad for them and their relationship in that moment. Yeah. So I don't know. I think he maybe served his purpose, but I'm curious what the intention was to be there, but it came across a little goofy maybe.
Praetorian Jack, played by Tom Burke, and it's funny because
I thought I maybe misheard it as Praetorian Max the first time. It's like, is this the casting of Mad Max here? And I realized pretty quickly it was not the case.
And I've only seen him in one thing, and I didn't love him in that either. He was in this movie called The Wonder with Florence Pugh, and he was her love interest. And I just don't know if he has it's kind of like how I feel about The Rock, where I feel that The Rock can never be a good. He doesn't have
rom-com or something.
He doesn't have chemistry with females, like he has chemistry with men.
No chills.
No chills that way. So yeah, I just wish they just made it more the mentee, and that's why I was looking because I'm pretty sure he is close to her age. So just the beer and whatnot just threw me off. But I just wish the mentor stuff just hit more that route because she could still do the head thing and the you can come with me and stuff just because he saved her. And I agree with you, where I didn't feel the loss of him. It felt like he was almost like an afterthought at that point because she's just gone. But very well done. We all know she loses her arm, but how they did it and getting caught in the tires and then it's hanging on and then Hemsworth wrenches that crane. I was like, oh my god! And I felt like they almost could have gone a bit more gorier. This is a radar movie. I was surprised at the beginning of the movie when they had those chains around the guy's limbs and head that they covered up by smoke. It's already a radar, so I was surprised the stuff even with the hand, it was there dripping, but they didn't show it ripping off or hanging by a thread. I thought they were gonna, but it was still gross. So
they saved all that for the maggots.
They did, yeah. They're like, this is getting us the R.
The gore budget went.
For Praetorian Jack, I liked him in the role. I think it helps knowing that he wasn't going to make it through. I guess I didn't know for certain that he was going to die or anything, but he wasn't in Fury Road, and there's no her writing letters to another man. I never thought that this guy was making it through this film. Personally, I think that they were going for some of the romantic isms, but I'm glad they didn't force it down our throats and make them kiss or something. I did like the coaching role that he was in, and just kind of their introduction. I think that was my favorite scene, actually, the entire movie. I'll call it a sequence more than a scene because it's just a much longer, the whole war rig battle when she's just the stowaway, and then she by the end of it she's her whatever the roles are. I can't remember what they're called, but no, I thought that whole sequence was really, really good, and just him kind of taking her under his wing. It kind of seemed weird that he drove away and then walked back. Where did he park the war rig? I feel like someone's gonna just GTA.
Yeah, and imagine you just look down and that thing's just going oh man.
So just
I know I'm gonna explain this to more and Joe. This is gonna suck.
But no, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna add on to that action sequence because that was definitely my favorite action sequence. of the movie, and it had very much that classic Mad Max sort of energy going on to it. But I just love the phases of it. I just feel like we'd clear out a round of enemies, and then like another wave would come in. It felt like a video game in that way,
Yes.
a horde mode situation. But I like the look of those enemies they were fighting there, who kind of had like the long, like frilly helmets. I don't know if that's like an established faction or something like that, but I like the bike that they had that was attached to the guy who had like skates, and then it would turn to like the parasail so they could get up top, which honestly seemed way too complicated for not much gain. Like the spears they had seemed to work just fine from the ground, but I like how extra it is. That really worked for me. And then I love too on the war rig how they had like that one, I guess, pole that they had to use like to get back and forth from the two things. Once again, does not seem like you really need that. Like it seems like to have any moving part as part of the engineering of that is just overcomplicating things. Like what if it gets stuck on the other side and someone needs to get across? So many logistical issues, but I think it made for really fun visuals to it. So yeah, that was just such a fun sequence all around.
I love that they had fans as like jetpacks to propel them forward
Yeah.
and back. That's where.
Oh, and the spikes on the back of the truck too.
Yeah, when
they,
he just
when
pulled-
they,
yeah.
when they went to overdrive and used that, it was so cool.
That sequence for me was that it's a bunch of people, but because he writes as well, it's like, man, George Miller, he's just so cool, and he's just thinking about like, hey, what random regular day appliances can we have come over to the wasteland? It's like, yeah, there would be fans, I guess, right? Like you could fashion that as like, well, you're going to use that propel forward and whatnot, and yeah, that I think I agree. That's probably the best sequence of the movie, and yeah, very well done. And that's I know Kirkland Taylor always talk about the Star Wars RTS game they want. That sequence made me want a Mad Max RTS game. I don't know how it would work because you'd constantly be moving, but it was just cool of like you said, Dylan, like just these different waves of coming in. I could just imagine like, okay, you got a convoy and you have your certain selects of armies. Like, okay, this is speed, this is the aerial. Like, what you have to defend like your tank over there. Like, especially with the wasteland, I was like, man, I would be so down for an RTS. That's
I
Mad
recently
Max.
bought that 2015 Mad Max. It was on sale for like $2.
I'm gonna be playing it soon again.
I haven't
'cause
booted it
that's-
up yet, but yeah, we should do a little side quest episode talking about that.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many times too. Like the driving, that game did a good job. Where it's like, man, this feels exactly like that moment when in the game when you're like too close to the hill and stuff. But yeah, great sequence. And I love the guns. I love the guns that are like brass nuts or the knives. So much good stuff.
And when that like devil guy that tortured her mother like shows
Yeah.
up with the just fucking like octopus squid arm balloon,
That was
whatever the hell that
weird,
was.
yeah.
And I loved it too because you can kind of see him like way off in the distance. I recognize like the balloon from when young Anya, I guess young Furiosa gets kidnapped. Like it's at that little hideout, I guess, there. So like I knew it was Dementus's crew, but like it just seems so far away. And then as you guys were saying with just the waves, they like take out the one wave and then it just gets like super close, and then it's him with his I don't even know what his machine gun setup was. It was just like 5 submachine guns like all like wrapped around each other. It just the design was fantastic. But and
He was
that
looking like he should have been on Sauron's team, like with that helmet and everything.
Yeah, he was
And
scary.
Dark magic going on there.
and that like prolonged sequence of the whole war rig battle, that was where like the score in that, I don't know if it changed, but it just seemed like just like a really like quiet like drum beat or something. Like it just, I don't know, it just seemed like you would have like the high octane like electric guitar. I guess we didn't have that big the big amp truck that we had in the Fury Road, but it just seems like that's when you would have that sort of like music come in, but it never came, and I thought it uplifted the scene, honestly.
And there's multiple cues. They did it throughout the movie, but in that scene especially, where the music they did have, then the sound effects, it almost goes silent just to show off one effect. I think it was when Anya like loaded a gun or shot someone, not when she was threatening the driver. At one point she got the gun and turned and everything was quiet except for that, and then she shot and then everything came like whooshing right back. It's like, oh man, that's some good stuff. And I would love to see like the script on that, and is it something where in that script that they really put it, or is the edit of like, hey, what moment works the best for like a drop everything and then whoosh it back? So it's just that to me will be a very fun sequence to rewatch. And that's where, again, of course, lots that is CGI where they're driving, but like they're not on exactly the road, like Anya's not under there and stuff. But that's where I think there's a good, for me, blend of it where we always refer back to it, or at least I do, is when we did Indiana Jones, like, oh man, I miss like those days. And this to me is again like Fury Road, where of course there's CGI stuff happening and effects, but it feels like such a good blend where you are not just feel like, okay, I'm just watching just computer animation right now, which can be good in certain things, but when it's mixed with a lot of these real life elements or actors, you want to feel like there's some danger there. And I think obviously design and stuff, and it helps that I think most of the time when the characters are CGI, it's a very far shot. Like every time they show Chris Hemsworth's like crew, it's all CGI obviously, and lots of war boys. But I like when we're up close and personal. They do their best to no one's turning into a spaghetti guy or something like that, you know. So
No log trucks.
no log trucks. That's what they got to put in Mad Max.
No
6,
trees
you know?
in this world.
Yeah, that,
Except for the green place.
that'll be a villain. He's the guy because we never found out what happened to Green Bay. So he chopped it all up, and then you're gonna see this guy with logs, and Furiosa gonna be like, "Oh my god, that's the Green Place." So there you go. That's my pitch for number 6. Let's take an ad break, and then we're gonna hear what Dylan has to say. And we're back. Dylan, lead us away.
Yeah, I was gonna ask in Fury Road, is there any resolution or mention of the green place? I can't remember.
It's destroyed, but they don't know why.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess we don't have that. There's no reveal yet for
No.
who destroyed it.
And that's why I wonder, because he says if he makes Mad Max 6, Furiosa will not be back, because all Mad Maxes are like the word it's supposed to be him and Hardy making it Mad Max Wasteland, and it'll be a new story. So I guess they're just gonna leave that up to the mystery of who took it out. Because I thought in this movie they were gonna reveal who did that, but they didn't. So that's just I guess some other either just died out or some other faction destroyed it. So.
Yeah, because I feel like they didn't even really leave a thread open of who would have gone to do that, because all the crew members from Dementis's crew had died, and that information never, as far as we know, traveled over to anyone else. So
yeah,
I guess that wouldn't really make any sense.
Which I really like that scene. That reminded me a lot of Orcs when they were both bickering who's gonna get to tell. Like only my lips to his ears are my words, and then poor guy gets not poor guy, he's a piece of shit, but guy gets his throat, so then he's trying to say, he's trying to like,
the other guy just getting grilled by
point.
Dementis. Like, well, where is he? Well, gotta bring him in here. Yeah.
How do you know this information? Oh, well, the other guy told me. Oh, well, bring it. Yeah. So I really liked the kind of standoff. You could feel like this guy was like a scrub, and he was like trying like, oh, if I can get this information, I can get in the inner circle, and he didn't get there. So yeah, I like that.
One thing I want to jump back to in the kind of prequel sequence is I thought the mom character was really fun. She was just such a badass. I think she's another character, like many others, who doesn't have a lot of dialogue, but I thought her face acting was great. And I just thought like showing off her skills as a tracker was really great, because obviously that we're meant to see that, oh yeah, Furiosa picked up a lot of her skills from watching her mom. But just like that whole tracking sequence, which once again, as we mentioned, like goes on way longer than I would have expected it to. It goes to nighttime, then we're back into daytime. We have some sandstorms. We're having all this other stuff going on. But I just thought like every once in a while, like when she would get off her bike to take out the sniper, I'm like, you can't be getting off your bike. You got to keep chasing them. But like it would always work out. And then when she cuts the corner around the other hill to catch up with them. So shout outs to that character. I thought she was like just from the trailers. Yeah, I thought she would maybe have 2 to 3 minutes of screen time. We'd get the quick backstory and then move on. But instead, I thought she ended up being like a really cool, badass character. So yeah, shouts to her.
It felt like very RPG like too, the way that she was just I mean, even Dementis's crew, like anytime someone just drops someone just looting his fucking bike,
yeah.
they're stealing the tire, they're just taking all of the rare items, exchanging it for their basic items.
Slight upgrade of their tools or tires, whatever it is.
Putting like a extra gas tank on their bike or whatnot. And I mean, even the mother character, when like it was probably for a disguise for sneaking in the camp, but when she like takes that guy's gear, I'm like, this is just totally reminded me of like you just kill like a super rare boss and you steal his helm and you're going along. So yeah, I completely agree with you. I thought that character was so badass, and the whole tracking stuff was really good, and a lot more than I thought we were going to be getting for it. So I mean, I already shouted out that earlier portion of just her, trying to get Furiosa back, but yeah, it was good.
And shout out the other girl that was her helper at the beginning. The blonde was Chris Hemsworth's wife. And I didn't know this. Emily told me that the one that gets her face all messed up was also Hemsworth's wife as well. So I missed that completely because
Oh wow,
it happens
Like
off
second wife?
screen. Yeah. So
Or same-
yeah, no,
same
no.
lady?
Same lady. Same
that
lady.
would be an
yeah.
awkward set.
Yeah.
That's his ex-wife.
I'm sure they
the one
got
that
it
got her
figured
face
out.
all
Yeah.
fucked up.
Yeah. But yeah, so there you go. You had that. But no, I agree with everything you guys said. I enjoyed the character, enjoyed the sequences. I enjoyed it. Was a again, I don't know if we've seen some tracking, but like you guys are talking about the tires, certain elements. I don't think we've seen that in Mad Max per se. Lots of the on foot stuff, you know. So, yeah, I enjoyed that.
And then a couple characters over at the Citadel. I mean, one like the bigger guy who's like the strategist. I don't know what you'd call him, but just like having that like mask on his
man.
wiener, like, and then he like his nipples, something crazy going on there.
Yeah,
What a character! But the leader of the camp, what was his name?
and Morton Joe.
And Morton Joe. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's going on with his armor? Like, is it circulating something around him? Is it just visual? Like, I couldn't figure out what I was looking at with his
I think
armor.
it is because he is younger here, so his skin isn't as bad. But in Fury Road, they have to put that armor on him, and before they put on, you see a couple of shots, and his skin is just like rancid, like it's bubbling, it's all
He
acid
maybe
and
like
stuff.
had burn damage or something.
Well, I think it's more in that because because when he had that baby and it had the four legs, I think there's something internally like eating away at him, like a
Oh,
wasteland bio, like what is it in Fallout when you're out there and you don't want to
Got
get
the rads.
yeah,
Yeah.
like it'd be like that.
Like
He's
the
the equivalent of that. So I think right now it's not as bad, but in Fury Road, his face is more messed up. So I think he probably got something, and this is his like the breathing apparatus, the armor, all that stuff is trying to help
Right.
him deter stuff or keep him alive, whatever it may be. So
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that scene with the baby.
yeah,
Just
that's very
quick mention.
unfortunate. Four legs and then 3 tries and you're out and you're just become a milker, I guess. So that was got to see a few of the dynamics there, and that was an interesting wrinkle as well because that nothing's spoken about in Fury Road. In Fury Road, she is just like a loyal soldier. I'm not saying in a bad way. It doesn't break canon or anything. Just that she was destined to be a mother and then got out of there and disguised herself as a mute boy. I really liked what's Scrose's brother name? He's Nathan Jones. He used to be a wrestler.
Rictus Erectus.
Rictus, yeah, I love. He's great in Fury Road, and he's great here. And I love them showing Furiosa like outsmart him because he's kind of simple in the idea of making this wig to. She knows, hey, at some point this guy's gonna be back, and he's obsessed with my hair. So what am I gonna do? And then get away. I think I could have even used a little bit more of how she like really fashioned herself back into the camp and everything like that because they don't show because with Fury Road, they just show all these beefed up guys and Furiosa, and that's the one lady. And you go, okay, whatever. There has to be a reason. At this point, there's not really many ladies around, so I know she disguises herself as a boy. But at some point, when the driver comes back with a girl, I thought there might have been like, oh, like she's gonna be on
Yeah.
the team. But I guess it's just he vouches for her and they're good to go. So that was something that was different to me that I was unsuspecting as far as. But even the whole origin of her kind of faking her death out of there and that was a whole thing I was not expecting. So
Yeah, that was like multiple times. I feel like they give us something and like without much of an explanation on how it actually happens. I feel like that one was the one that I was caught on the most, was just the fact that she was destined to be like one of the chastity belt wearing ladies that are just like really nice skin. They're basically models. Like they're just like so cut from different cloth amongst all the other just citizens of the Citadel there.
Like kept in a hidden chamber and everything.
Yeah, and like literally a vault. They have a massive vault door for them, and you don't really like ever hear about him like trying to find her again. Like after Rictus loses her, like there's no talk about that, and there's never like when she comes back, it's never like, oh, you remind me of whoever. I feel like like I kind of was able to look past it, but that was the one that I got caught on the most. And I think Rictus has like one quick line of like, you seem familiar, but that's just when she's still like the mute boy.
Right.
And then
He gets distracted and
yeah,
that's about it.
exactly. And then like when she's with Praetorian Jack on the war rig, like she's just got that like very nice hair, looks all nice and shampooed, and like she just looks
I
like
won't
one
say
of these.
shampooed. I
It
won't say
looked very
shampooed.
clean. It looked very clean amongst this world, I thought. But yeah, no, that one was the one I was probably caught on the most for needing a little bit more substance to get to that answer. But yeah, it is what it is at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
What else? I'm trying to think if there's anything on a more enjoy I want to talk about. I could use. It sounds like a most nitpick. I could have used his voice like a little deeper, like a little more raspy. But I guess that might signify how sick he is in Fury Road. So I'll give him that. Yeah, I like seeing all the old guys. I like seeing the Bolt Farm. His brother, the guy with all the that runs Bolt Farm, is more enjoyable. He has a lot of brothers, and I guess that's makes sense why all the mutated people are going on. But yeah, it was great to see him back because he has a funny fame Fury Road. But yeah, I liked seeing Bullet Town, and I liked seeing because we don't really, other than him putting his armor in Fury Road, we don't really get to see behind in the Citadel, right? They're on the road, so I liked seeing those inner workings. It's kind of reminds me of like the stuff we like in Star Wars with the Siths and Vader, where it's like you get to see that now. Sometimes they go too much, but that's why I like this was the right amount. Same thing as Morton Joe, he was a threat here, but it never became his movie, or he was a villain B, but not in the sense of like, oh, it feels like she has to take him down this movie or it's nothing. No, he helped out a few times in this movie, even though he's like very, violent and destructive. He the enemy is my friend. So I enjoyed everything with the Citadel and Amor and Joe. And like I said, that's some of the stuff that for me actually just enriched it, and what a prequel should do. And it, to me, is gave me much more than I was expecting on this, and it was all the right type of stuff that didn't trompe over, like even stuff with the wives. It's like it's things we were kind of insinuated or assumed about, but there was just a bit more specific. So that's why I'm very excited for the doubleheader down the line. So
Yeah, I think Bullet Farm had a cool that fight in general, I guess, was another fun one, kind of a different style to other ones we've seen. I don't have much to say on Gastown, but I thought it had a cool look from afar. It looked kind of like Isengard, with like the big towers in the middle, and then just kind of like the oil patch kind of all around it, with the bridge leading in. I thought that was pretty cool. And then I guess another thing, just like at the end, I really like the kind of ambiguous death of Dementis. Because I mean, the narrator, I guess, character at that point, I forget what that guy's name is. He's like speculating on like, the different ways that he could have died. It could have just been a shot. Could have been dragged through the desert. Or like she whispered to me that he was turned into a tree. Like he said it in a very, very colorful way. But man, that was a really grotesque shot. Really messed up, and I kind of like that. It's like that could be what happened, but like we don't really know for sure. Like that, like the shot we're seeing there could be as real as the other ones. So I like that ambiguity of it, but that is truly a totally messed up way for someone to go, because in theory he could still be alive during Fury Road and all that. Just still,
I think he
this
is
little tree guy.
Yeah, if he's this tree, yeah. I'm mixed on that one. I have to sit with it because I was kind of surprised. I thought they were just going to I know they do this in a lot of movies, but I thought she was just going to leave him there and to die and, just be locked up, can't do anything. Because he got excited by the idea of getting this like big death, and he even said like make it epic. So I actually didn't like the storyteller being like, oh, she could have done this and this and this. I was hoping it was just, and she just left him there and moved on with her life, because he now, did he want to become a tree man? Probably not, but he still got a little bit of his wish of that whole wanting to be kind of an iconic status, right? And he
To
got
me, that
excited.
seems like the worst torture possible.
That
It
is a fate worse than death.
It is, but I'm just saying he wanted that though. He wanted to be something epic, right? So people.
But
would
I don't
tell
think he
stories
wanted
of
it to last for 60 years.
Of course not, but still, like that, like in the sense of he wanted himself to become a legend, and then the storyteller ends talking about the legend of the death of Demetrius, right? So it's like he did kind of get his wish. Now, like I said, at the long run, yeah, he's still this tree person possibly, and it probably didn't go well. But that's why I was kind of surprised that she kind of let the villain get what he wanted in it, but she's still torturing for it. So it's like it's a very Batman.
I guess you
Joker
could canon it that
situation.
she left him out there, because technically,
Yes.
there's no confirmation. I do like the angle though that like his body is being used to like nourish people going
Yeah.
forward. So yeah, like turning him into I don't know, just like a cow essentially.
Yeah.
Is yeah,
And good kind of full circle shot with the apple, first one of the first
For
shots of the
sure.
movie is them grabbing it, and that sets them on this whole venture, right? As these guys are around in the forest and whatnot. So
hmm
yeah, don't know.
Travis, you said his name Demetrius every single time that you mentioned his name. You know his name isn't Demetrius, right?
What is that again?
Dementus.
Dementus, thank you. I knew it was something else, but I was just rolling with it now.
Okay, yeah. I was
A
like, I
cool
think that's your
name.
fourth time you said that.
Red
And then he keeps
Demetrius.
changing it.
Yeah.
The great, the red. He was.
I got a
What was
more
he
Joe
legendary?
down every time. That one's tricky to remember.
Fury Road, though, right? That's
Okay.
why. It's burned in the head since 2015, so I'll get Dementus, right?
There you go. That was beautiful.
Eventually, yeah, eventually.
The witness.
That's why I just revert to Hemsworth. That's easy. Like I can't get that one wrong.
Yeah.
I know his name. But that's another thing when I love the whole him trying to build up his legend and whatnot. Anytime something would happen of note, he's like, "That's my name now. I'm
Yeah.
Red. Oh, that's my name. I'm the Great. Oh, I'm the Legendary. And then he was at the end. He was the Bad or the Dreaded, like something like
yeah,
Great.
something like that.
Yeah.
when he was like, oh, I have to be mean spirited. I can't be, I can't give you hope and stuff. And that's where there were some Jack Sparrow isms, the whole just kind of changing on a fly. So
That when they come across the first war boy with the flare there, and then just that whole sequence was hilarious. But when he just like shoots it at the ground, and then everything just fills up with red, and then you just have Dementus arms out, and just like the big gross teeth that they gave Hemsworth with the
Yeah.
big nose. I just love the look. I feel like every time I saw him, I was just laughing, especially when the early stages when it goes to him just on his chariot of. Like it's just so over the top where he has like 3 motorcycles and he's
so
just holding
cool.
onto the reins, and he's
Yeah.
like he's got his big cloak in the back, and by that point he's got the red beard and everything. I was loving him. I think for just his appearances in the most part. Like I was saying earlier, you definitely like you see more of the fucked up side to him. You don't admire the guy, but I appreciated what he was. And yeah, Hemsworth was just great, just great to have. I feel like Chris Hemsworth, I just think of Thor as his voice. So this has really helped helped or diminish his overall look in my appearance. He's just a little bit more layered now, I guess, of an actor.
did you ever see Bad Times?
Yeah, he's fantastic in that, but he still has the like sexy charisma, and I feel like
That's
he I guess kind of has that with just his overall physique. Like he's looking really nice and shredded in this movie, but
He doesn't
just the
look sexy,
voice.
though.
By
Yeah.
the end of it, he's looking pretty ragged, but
Yeah.
early
Yeah.
on he's looking good.
The voice, yeah, very, very whiny, raspy, coming from
Yeah.
this big, beefy guy. Like, oh, there is no hope. Like, it's just like, and that's why I think they give him this oversized nose, and they almost make it sound like that's why he sounds like that, because it's like all nose and stuff. But
He never really smiles either. Like maybe a smirk here or there, but I feel like he's
but that Red Misty did. Red
Yeah,
Misty was
it's
enjoying. He's like
teeth out and everything.
Why? I don't know.
Right.
I did appreciate how long throughout the movie he had that red in his beard,
Yeah.
because it makes sense, right? Like you can't wash in this universe, so if you get stained, and same with his cape. Obviously, that I love how it was white, the red, and then at the end it's just like this rotted black. Like there's still some red there, but the top half is just like pure black. And yeah, I know that was good stuff there.
Even little Anya got some red in her hair.
She did, yeah.
I like the look. Yeah.
looked cool.
Little D.
Little D.
Little D. That's
Yeah, I mean, shows to that actress too. Like we didn't really mention her necessarily, but yeah, she's a lot of screen time.
Yeah.
Not a lot of dialogue, but she does a good job of being that fierce child that she needs to. So yeah,
Alila Brown or Alila,
Alila Brown.
however you say that. But
It's Demetrius. That's
yeah, Demetrius Brown. There you go.
that's her name.
I think I'm
Where
noteless
else?
over
Where
here.
else?
I thought Scrotus was really great too. We mostly focused on his brother, but
Yeah.
because he was in Fury Road, right? Like both of those actors.
Is he? Is Scrotus in there?
I didn't think so, but when I pulled up IMDb, it looks like it.
Is he okay? 'Cause
Same
I thought he was-
actor that was what's his name? Striker.
Strider?
Striker. There you go. From Days of Future Past.
Oh,
He's the young version of.
No, this is wrong.
You sure?
Because that guy is a war boy, the guy that plays Stryker from Days of Future Past. I'm pretty sure. Unless I'm just fully
He looks
wrong.
like a war boy.
Yeah, I think. He plays
Okay, yeah, no,
he's
he
Nicholas
played
Holtz's
Slit.
friend. Yeah,
He played Slit in.
yeah, he's Nicholas Holtz's friend in Fear Road.
You're 100% right. Yeah, you're 100% right.
Yeah.
Okay, he got
and he's
upgraded
not
though.
Scrotus, right?
He is Scrotus in this movie, but not
Is
in
he?
the previous one.
Okay, and Scrotus is a character in the other one in Fear Road.
I thought the two brothers were in it because
So there you go. There's another case of them using another actor from Fear Road, but this time in a prequel for a different role. So there you go. They love doing that here.
yeah, Rictus is definitely in Fury Road.
I know Rictus. Rictus is like
Yeah.
a show stealer in Fear Road. He's great. I had a baby brother. He's perfect in every way imaginable. He's such a idiot. Shout out to Nathan Jones. You know?
I went and found a Mad Max name generator.
Ooh.
So my name in the Mad Max universe is Devo the Massive, driver of the homing hot dog.
Wow.
Holy
That's pretty good.
macaroni. That's a good
That's a
name.
big
Yeah,
one.
let's put you guys in here.
Yeah, you got to put me in there.
Jeez Louise. But
Top knot Slackjaw, driver of the Magnum Opus. That's you, Travis.
I like that. Slackjaw. I like
Slackjaw.
that. Top dot. Yeah, that's good.
Good character in Dishonored.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get Kirkland here. Ooh, Knuckles the Pessimist Specialist, driver of the Demented One.
Damn, I like that.
And let's put Taylor in here for good measure.
Knuckles
Yeah.
for good measure.
The True Blue the Freaky, driver of the Pursuit Special.
Oh,
That
yeah,
makes
that's
Kind of
sense.
fitting.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there is anything else, but I don't know, like, because I just have like great action sequences, but I think most of the character stuff, I think we've hit on anything that I can think of. Anything else, I'll table for the rankings or for Golden Geeks, and I'm sure some stuff will come up, but I think most of the immediate things to discuss or praise have been done by myself as well. Kirkland, you still did you figure out Scrotus Gate yet?
Scrotus.
You never
Oh.
confirmed if he was in Fear Road or not.
Okay.
You were selling this false bill of goods like, oh, it was a different actor, and then I asked who played him in Fear Road. You gave me no answer, so it's like, well, I don't
I
know.
just closed the page after that. I was like, okay, not the same guy.
You're just making stuff up. We're getting some one-star review. Oh, you didn't do the prep work. Scrolls
Yeah,
was played by
exactly.
Sir Elton John.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I don't see Scrotus. On
Okay,
the-
so there you go. Scrotus, we don't know what happened to him in between this and Fear Road, so he must have passed on, or maybe that'll happen. Maybe we'll
Or
get
they knew
another
he-
movie. So,
yeah, just Slit.
just Slit. What a name! I'm glad I didn't get Slip. I'll take Slackjaw over top notch Slackjaw. Making Opus over Slit. So, Dilmas, final thoughts on this?
Yeah, no, this is a good discussion. I think that kind of filled in some blanks that I maybe had on this. But yeah, overall, I think I'm going to drop a 7.7
7.7. Okay.
on this
Ooh.
one. Yeah.
Next originals. Don't explain here. Next originals. We gotta get down to how the number system came back for Mr. Muss.
Will do. Will
I'm
do,
curious. Yeah. Mr.
Curious.
Pats. Yeah, I'm curious. Mr. Pats or a final rating, but not ranking, because I'll say next week we'll rank the movies.
Yeah.
So just your rating.
Yeah, it's interesting coming off of this one because like Fury Road is such a well-made movie, and I feel like I appreciate it more and more. I see it. I think I've seen it 3 times now, and every time I've seen it, I've liked it more. But I must say, I think like it's weird to say, but I feel like I'm more high on this one because of the theater experience with it.
I can see the
Um,
angle.
Makes sense. though.
Yeah, like it just felt better in that sense. But I think at the end of the day, if I compare the two, I probably like what this movie did was made me really want to watch Fury Road again, which is kind of funny because you pretty much get that movie in the end credits. If you stick around
Yeah,
for it,
that-
you see the
true.
That was interesting.
That was an odd choice. It's like we have the movie there. You don't need to show us the entire
Yeah.
we know and stuff. And yeah, that's interesting because didn't your score from Fear Road, you ended up giving that a 10, right? But didn't it end up going like you were like a 9 point. You just pulled the Dune.
Yeah.
You're like a 9.5, and then you eventually got to 10 or
I
something.
think I did
so-
because the first time I saw Fury Road, I was like, huh. Less exciting than I thought I was exciting or that I was
Overrated.
expecting to see. Like I think I was expecting something that I mean, it's just Mad Max universe and the apocalypse. And I think at that time I hadn't seen a Mad Max movie either. All I
Yeah.
had heard about these movies was that this specific one is so well made and it's so great. And obviously all the practical effects and everything, like I was able to appreciate, but just it was hard to follow the story. Like you get introduced to Morton Joe and like the War Boys, and I was just trying to like piece together what's going on. So I was a little bit just I think overwhelmed in that first viewing, but no, that movie's a 10 out of 10, just so well made. And this one, I think I'm gonna have to give it another 10 out of 10. I thought I
Ooh.
might have to dock at some points just for, like I was saying earlier, like just maybe glossing over certain things without really spending time to like explain how, or not even necessarily to explain it, but I just felt like we spend a lot of time in the first act, like pacing it out well, that it doesn't feel rushed, like we are on this whole pursuit trail that the mother has. But then there's moments where we have like the 40-day war that's over in 40 seconds, or whether it's Dementis just like fast traveling to the Citadel after they mentioned that they're like gonna have to meet with them again, and then they're like already in the war room like talking to them. It just felt like, I don't know, like fast and then slow, fast and then slow, and I think just like the stark contrast of the two made it stand out. But as we were going along with the story, long-winded way of saying, I was able to just kind of look past it and just really fully embrace the out of this world nature that these movies are. And yeah, this is just such a great time. I was a little bit sad that we were losing Charlize going into this, but I'm so happy that it was Anya in hindsight, just because I think because of the more younger stage of Furiosa where she's at, it would have felt weird, especially knowing that this movie ends like basically the start of Fury Road. It like if we had Charlize in this role, it would have been weird because like when did Fury Road come out? Was it
2015.
Oh my gosh, that's so much
Almost a
longer
decade
than I
ago.
thought. Yeah, I thought it was closer to 2020. So that would have felt really jarring, I think, to have her in that role. But Anya was fantastic. Chris Hemsworth was fantastic. Yeah, that was a long way of saying I love this movie.
There you go. Yeah. 10 out of 10 for me as well. I think I have some minor quibbles. I don't think there's anything to bring down because the highs are so high. Love the world building. The action sequences are fantastic. I love all the character motivations. All the acting's great. All-star performance by Hemsworth. I just think he went out there and killed it because I think there's a version of that character that could just be very annoying and very, I won't say lame, but just one note. And what I mean by one note is he is a bad guy, but I mean like the performance wise. I think he brings a lot to that. There's a lot of actors that could have played that character and it gone just kind of, oh yeah, it's all right. And I don't think Mad Max is well known for its great villains. I think Immortan Joe's great in Fury Road, but that's just because he looks imposing and it's the idea of Immortan Joe. Like this, whatever. I won't say more because we got rankings, but I will tease from our rankings that this movie made me very questionable. Like I don't know where I got Max and where I got Furiosa. This added a lot more to me for Furiosa. I think this even more tragic backstory than what we had gotten in Fury Road, but I think they earned it for the character. So yeah, no, a 10 out of 10 for me as well. Loved it. I'm looking very forward to watch this many times. Like I said, this will be kind of like Lord of the Rings, where I'll say when I do the extended, I usually can't watch them all in a day, but usually try to set aside a weekend. That'll be like this, where kids are gone or something like this, being able to set aside a time. And I think that's almost a good thing that Furiosa is. It has its high octane moments, but it is a bit slower. So, because I wonder if you were to watch Fury Road and this back to back, and Furiosa was also just pedal to the metal 2.5 hours of just a chase, you'd be like, man, this is a lot. But I like that this is like a really nice, just build up to it. I'll definitely skip the credits though, so I don't have to see all that again and then just jump right into the movie.
Yeah.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. We have done it. We reviewed Furiosa. I don't know what our next big review is. Like, I know we got like Deadpool coming up. I feel like there's
Quiet
something
Place
else.
is in a few weeks.
Yeah, is that in June there?
I think so.
Let's see. I think you're right. That's in 27th, so it's like a month away.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
I guess
ways
we're
off.
we're going to the TV show Purgatory, which I love. But we got The Boys, Acolyte, and then soon House of Dragon as well too. So that's a lot of TV show reviews there. So movies taking a little break, but then June you got Quiet Place, Twisters apparently,
Fuck yeah. Can't wait for
Deadpool
Twisters.
3, Maxine, Long Legs, lots of.
Crazy.
Are you coming to Twisters, Travis? Dylan, I could ask you that too. I don't know.
TBD. TBD.
You.
Taylor and I were
Sure.
getting crazy and talking about doing a 1-movie retro for the first one, but we'll see who signs up on that sheet.
Yeah,
I could be convinced to do that.
the retro or
But I
That
don't
means you
think I'd
got to
go
be
to the
there
new
for the
one.
new
yeah,
movie.
I was gonna say yeah. The retro is easy. That's at home, but yeah, it just depends. Because yeah, if I see all those movies, it goes Quiet Place, Maxine, Long Legs, and then Twisters, Deadpool 3. I think Twisters might be my break because I have much more.
Sorry, what
antici-
week is Twisters on? With
The 19th.
is it with another movie though,
Nope.
or is it? Okay,
Not
it is
another
an
movie.
MTV
Yeah.
guys? Okay.
So, but and I know at that point I'll have to see Despicable Me. Oh yeah, when since Despicable Me 4 will be out July 4th, and I don't know when Inside Out. That's coming out soon too. So yeah, Twisters
Oh, yeah.
just by proxy might get the boot, but who knows? Maybe it's great. I like Daisy Edgar, like Glenn Powell. If I'm on that review, it's because Emily made me go see it because she's a massive fan of the original. So
Nice.
it's Emily and life dependent. So lots of good reviews coming up here in the Geekverse. Thank you very much. Hope everyone has a good weekend. We'll be back next week and it won't be boring.
Bye.